Okay, my name is Jojo. I'm from Indonesia. Yes, simply because in Indonesia we also have a similar problems with Thailand. So I try to find out which country had similar problems with us in Indonesia. And I read some article in internet that Thailand have this kinds of programs. So I feel that I should go to Thailand to learn about it more from the peoples of Thailand. So far I learned a lot of things. Not about the price of a mango, but we learned a lot of social project of the kings. We've been in some of the kings project, and we learned so far most of the projects of the kings tend to have like social entrepreneurship and also educations. So far we learned about the communications, how to build the communications within the society and community. We also learn about how people in Thailand really, it's easy for them to obey their own governments. It's totally different with the conditions of our country, where the people tend to neglect their own governments. So those information is really useful for us because we also in Indonesia, we try to make platforms in social community. So we think that we learn a lot of things, a lot of stuff about how to build a social community in Indonesia. For examples, in one of the project of Kings called as floating market, if I'm not mistaken, out there the conditions in floating market is very similar with the conditions of my village in Lombok Islands. Out there we also have the same problems on making like agreements with the society. It's really hard to make agreements with the society because the society has their own perspective, which is actually different with our perspective as the youth. And we see that in floating market they have periodic meetings with the society, and they try to convince the society with good communications and so on and so forth. We also learn in floating market that even if they are a private sphere, they still try to make connections with their own governments. And that's thing that we never do in Lombok Islands. So we think that that's the most important stuff that I learned. One of the most important stuff. First, there are 6 of us from Indonesia, and each of us come from different islands. So we think that we cannot do such a programs within one certain places. So we try to make platforms like online, like e-forum for the youth in Indonesia, because we still have problems about the gap of communications. The youth in Jakarta, it's really easy to access the informations, but the youth in other places, in other provinces, it's really hard to find those kinds of informations. So we, as the delegations of Indonesia, we try to think to make some like platforms in order to gather the youth from the entire Indonesia. So at the end of the day, we think that this kinds of platform will help the youth from another province except Jakarta to also get informations as much as the information that get by the youth in Jakarta as the capital city of Indonesia.